So hi everyone, we're here with Miss Silver State, Karrina, 2023 and
And
20 and
2024.
2024. That's right.
Mhm.
And could you please tell us about Miss Silver State, what it is, and how it all fits into the pageant world?
Mhm. So Miss Silver State is a local title to the Miss America organization. Miss Silver State is a local title to Miss Nevada, actually. So every summer, all of us local title holders will go compete for the title of Miss Nevada. There are other local title holders such as Miss Carson City, Miss Las Vegas, Miss Reno. There's local title holders across the state who all have their own community service initiatives and who all will be competing for the title of Miss Nevada in June. However, the one girl that does win Miss Nevada, she gets to go on to compete at Miss America with every other state winner. So we also have a Miss California, Miss Wyoming, Miss Washington, D.C. Every other state has a title holder also who will compete for the title of Miss America. The Miss America program is really scholarship based. We are a scholarship program. And so every single award that us girls win gives us scholarship money. And even just competing for Miss Nevada, just by stepping on stage, and even if you don't take home an award, you get money for even just competing in the program. And so doing Miss America has really helped me out. I was able to graduate college this past May completely debt free because of my involvement in Miss America.
So are you currently competing right now?
Yeah, so we are in the 2024 competition season actually, and so we will all be competing in June. So in a bit, but yes, we're all in that 2024 season. Um, Registration just opened up for the 2024 season this past month, and so I think that registration date closes on March 1st, but girls have until March 1st to decide to compete or not.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we love the crown. What is that? Is that made of something special or?
Yes, I think it's just metal and like rhinestones, but it does have these straps on the bottom that you clip into your hair so it doesn't fall off. So that's how we keep the crown on. We get that question a lot.
Nice. And
Mhm.
then can we see your sash?
Yes, I'll take that off real quickly. So
So Miss Silver State.
mhm.
Okay.
There's the year down here. Miss America is up there. So yeah, Miss Silver State.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you went to you said you graduated from college?
Yes,
Which college did you go to?
I went to the University of Nevada, Reno.
Oh, okay. Those from Las Vegas will know what
Oh,
that
you know,
means.
the whole rivalry. Well, you guys just beat us, so
Yeah.
keep the cannon red.
Okay. So it seems like you've known a lot. What do you do? What's involved? What
What's
What's like the process of becoming Miss Silver State? Like what you like have to do in order like to become Miss Silver State?
So there's actually a few different ways that you can get involved in the Miss America organization. In other states, they have a preliminary system where you have to compete for local titles in order to earn them and to go to the state competition. And so it used to be the same rules in Nevada where I had to compete for titles to be able to even compete at Miss Nevada. And so for a while, when I was in the younger age division, which is the teen program, that age division is 13 to 18. I competed for all of those local titles. So I was Miss Carson City's Outstanding Teen, Miss Upton County's Outstanding Teen, Lake Tahoe, and Eagle Valley. And so all those titles I had to compete for and win on a local basis before I was able to go to state. But now, since COVID, Nevada has kind of altered the rules, and a few other states across the nation have also. We're called open states now. So states like Nevada, what we have is an open registration. So anybody who wants to compete is able to register to compete for Miss Nevada and is able to go straight to the state level. We don't have local competitions anymore. So in order to become a local title holder, you have to get in contact with our locals or with our state directors, Brooke and Jillian, and they'll walk you through the whole registration process and what it takes to become a local title holder. And then once you do become a local title holder, there are a few requirements of you throughout the year. Because we are also a service-based organization, each girl has to have something called a community service initiative, which is something to do in the realm of community service that you are passionate about and that you want to promote and work with throughout your year. For me personally, my community service initiative is called Inform to Reform, Educating America's Voters. And it's all about voter education, voter involvement, and making sure we're getting the youth vote to be a much bigger part of our system than it is now today. And so what I've done throughout the years with Inform to Reform is I've worked with Governor Joe Lombardo lately to get the week of September 17th passed as Constitution Week for Nevada public schools. And so we actually were able to just celebrate our first Constitution Week this past September, which was really exciting. And then I also go into elementary school classrooms and work with elementary schoolers, teaching them why voting is important, about our Constitution. And then, of course, setting up voter registration booths around election season. I worked at the polls and helped out at the polls last election year. And so doing all those type of things that involve voter involvement, voter education is really what I'm passionate about. So that's what my community service initiative is. But each girl has their own.
Okay, so is this your organization? Did you start it?
Mm-hmm.
You started it yourself from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do the judges look at when determining the winner? Is it, I'm sure it's not all
looks and like
yeah. Yeah, so there are a few different pageant systems, and that's one thing that is really unique about the Miss America organization is that it's based on a lot of outside stuff rather than just if you have the pretty dress, if you have the pretty smile. That does not determine if you win or not. And so we do compete in a few different phases of competition. The first one is interview. And so each of us girls has a private interview with the judges. And in those interviews, the judges can ask us whatever they want to know about us. So they aren't given any limits. So they can ask us all about current events, political beliefs, our community service initiatives, just really anything that they would like to ask us. They can get to know us that way in that personal interview. And then outside of that interview room, we have on-stage question where we answer 3 questions on stage in front of the audience that are written by the judges. Usually there's one question that's based on your community service initiative, one that's based on just like an extension of your interview, so something that you briefly touched on but they wanted to learn more about, and then one that's based on doing the role of Miss Nevada. And then in addition to that, we also compete in talent, evening gown, and fitness. And so for talent, I'm a dancer, and so we each get 90 seconds for talent to do whatever you'd like. And I'm a dancer, and so that's what I do for talent is I dance. But yes, those are the phases of competition. However, the judges are given our social medias throughout the entire year to watch what community service we're doing. And then in your interview, community service is a huge topic that's brought up because that's the biggest role of a title holder is to be a servant for your community. And so that's one thing that the judges are really looking for is whether or not you would be a good role model and a good community server.
So what are some of these questions that they ask? I mean, is there like, can you name like a specific one that?
Yeah, so last year for my onstage question, one that I got was whether we should allow the Supreme Court to continue being, I guess, to continue to not have an age limit. Should we allow the Supreme Court to continue to have a not age limit? And should we elect Supreme Court officials also? That was one of my questions. And so, yeah, there's a big range. But then I've also gotten questions before, like, what's your biggest strength? What's your biggest weakness? Who's your biggest role model? It's a really wide spectrum of questions that they can ask you.
So each contestant gets a different question.
Yes.
So sometimes someone may get an easy one.
And then
Yeah.
someone may get like
And you may get the hard one, right? I mean,
yeah.
is that just how it rolls?
Yeah, it kind of varies. And so for that third question that we get asked, which is about the role of a state title holder, those questions are only for the top 5 actually. And so after the competition is finished, they'll call out a top 5, and those top 5 girls have to answer one more question, and that question is to do with the role of being Miss Nevada. And those questions we actually pull out of a fishbowl. So those questions are not previewed by the judges, anything like that. They are just complete questions that none of us know what's going to be asked. We don't know anything. And so those questions we pull out of a fishbowl. They're a bit random. One of the girls last year got asked what she would do if she lost all of her wardrobe on the way to Miss America. And then some of us also got asked, like, how will you increase brand marketing for the Miss Nevada program? And so those questions are a bit random. And then the other ones that we answer are written by the judges. The judges kind of tailor those questions for you. So for your community service initiative, you can kind of guess about where your question will land, because for me, my community service initiative is about voter education. So they're most likely not going to ask me something about breast cancer awareness or something else. if that makes sense. But if a girl does have a platform that is breast cancer awareness, she would be asked something in that regards, while I would be asked about voter education. And so those questions, you can kind of guess a little bit more on what you're going to be asked, or at least know like a ballpark range. But those final questions, they're kind of random. You just draw them out of the bowl and hope you get a good one.
Yeah. Well, that's
Mhm.
good. It's no gotcha question. But you brought up what question? You said one contestant got asked, how would you brand and market the Miss Nevada pageant?
Mhm.
So, you know, she has a clothing line.
Mhm.
And so I guess the question would be to you is, how would you consider branding a person or a business or a clothing line
Mhm.
and marketing, just in your opinion? What would you look to do?
Mhm. I really think it's about finding that audience that matches your brand perfectly. And so for the Miss America organization, the women that can compete are for the teen division 13 through 18-year-olds, and for the Miss division 19 through 28-year-olds. And because we are a scholarship program, I think it's really important that we get in touch with college-aged women who are actually on campus and who actually can benefit from the scholarships that the Miss America organization provides. And so for me, it's really important to me that we are doing those face-to-face connections where we are meeting people, making these brand connections, and really helping women get involved in the program. And so I think knowing what exact specific audience your program or your brand tailors to, and really trying to reach those, not only just on social media, but also in person, is a really big deal. And with that social media aspect, of course, I think social media is amazing. It garners so many amazing connections that you wouldn't make in the real world for distance reasons. However, I do think that people really connect well with that face-to-face connection and that personalization that happens when you meet somebody in person. And so that was another big thing that I wanted to focus on this year, was going to college-age women on campus, meeting them face-to-face, going to their clubs, talking to them, sharing about why Miss America is so important, so that they get that personalized experience and it's not just an ad they're seeing on Facebook or Instagram.
Hmm. Okay.
Mhm.
And so with your organization, can you tell us what has it done? I mean, what has
Mhm.
it how have you grown it?
Yeah.
Where are you now with it?
Mhm. So are you talking about Inform to Reform?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
your organization, yeah.
And so Inform to Reform, when I was a teen contestant, I actually had a completely different social impact or community service initiative. When I was a teen, my community service was based on children's hospitals, and so I did a lot of work with Renown, especially our local Renown here in Reno. And so working with Children's Miracle Network and helping funding for their children's aspect of the hospital. However, when I transferred into the Miss program, I really wanted to focus my community service on an issue that I wanted to go into in my future. And I actually graduated with my degree in history and political science, and I'm currently studying to take the LSAT and going to law school and all of that. And so I want to go into politics and into law one day. And so I really love government. I love voting. I'm a huge government nerd, history nerd. And so I wanted to pick an issue that really had an impact on my life every single day and would continue to impact my future. And so that's why I chose Inform to Reform. And originally it was just an idea that I had. And my main idea was wanting to do voter registration booths and work with adults primarily. However, I started to realize in 2020 during that election cycle just how quickly misinformation spreads about or about government and about public officials, and how quickly people are to jump to conclusions without actually knowing the basis of the Constitution and why these issues are happening. And so that's why I wanted to focus on working with children and making sure that Nevada curriculum teaches children about the Constitution from a young age. Because in Nevada, we don't really get in-depth constitutional education until our senior year of high school, which at that point, we're already either about to vote or we are voters. And so it's really important that children are learning this from a young age, so that they grow up with this knowledge rather than just hearing about it when they're already of voting age. And so that's when I started working with children and getting into those classrooms directly. And then I also realized it's I can't be everywhere at once. I can't be around the whole state teaching every single class every single day. And so I really wanted to work with teachers also so that they could implement this on their own in their classrooms. And so that's why I worked with Governor Joe Lombardo to pass Constitution Week and to get teachers these lesson plans and this curriculum so they can institute or implement constitutional education easily and quickly into their classrooms without me having to be there, if that makes sense. And so it really all sprung from just an idea that I had because I was passionate about it into an organization now that I'm really excited and proud about and can't wait to keep working with. So
Okay. So if teachers wanted to get involved with your organization, how would they do that?
yeah, so I actually have an email call. I think it's inform.2.reform@gmail.com where I've been able to connect with a bunch of teachers on sending curriculum out to them. I have pre-planned lessons that I just send to them that take about 30 minutes of the day so they can easily quickly put it into their daily plan and be done with it. It's a nice quick lesson. And I have lessons for grades kindergarten through third grade and then third grade through sixth grade. So more on the younger age spectrum at the moment, but those lesson plans are pre-planned. I have all the materials that teachers would need. I have the whole lecture that they would need, and so it's pretty easy for them to just take that lesson and implement it in right away into their classrooms. And then also, I do have a scholarship program set up for high school seniors where I give $500, a $500 scholarship away to a high school senior who demonstrates an understanding of the importance of voting. And so I've worked with high schools around Northern Nevada to get that scholarship information out, but getting in connection with Vegas through curriculum and working with teachers that I've already met in Vegas to kind of make those connections with those other teachers.
Do you see this potentially going nationwide beyond Nevada?
That's my goal, definitely, because again, I also really wanted to pick an issue when I transferred into the Miss program that could be applicable to every single American. And this is an issue that every single American can use. This is information that we all need to know and that we all need to be using when we're going to vote. And so that's my goal, is to make it a nationwide program because every single one of us can understand or can use constitutional education and understand what the issues are that are outlined in the Constitution to help translate the issues that we're having today in our modern government.
Okay. And
Mhm.
so switching back to the pageant arena and topic. So the dress is a big part of it, right? All dresses. So
The yeah,
what
that's a fun part.
how do you go about finding the person to do it? Is there like certain people you have to pick from or
Mhm. So there's a lot of different routes that people take in finding their competition wardrobe. For me, I don't love to spend a ton of money on a dress because I think if I'm going to splurge on a dress, it'll be for a Miss America gown, not for a state gown. And so I always look on Facebook or like resale sites like Poshmark and Queenly. And so I always look for secondhand dresses that girls have worn once or twice and are ready to sell for like half the price. And so that's the route that I take is I kind of find the style that I'm looking for. I Google pictures of what style I'm wanting for that year and then go onto those Facebook pages of resale pageant dresses or those sites and find a dress that kind of matches that style, but that's way cheaper because it's already been worn a few times by another girl. And so that's the route that I take. I know a lot of other girls also do the same thing. But most girls, when they're going to Miss America, they work directly with a designer. And so our current Miss Nevada, Taylor Blatchford, we have a sponsor called Viper Apparel Prom. They're actually based in Michigan, but our Miss Nevada will work with Viper Apparel and will work with the designer of her choosing to kind of design her own gown. And that's what a lot of the state winners do before going to Miss America because Miss America is a once in a lifetime chance. You can only go to Miss America once. It's in the rules. So once you've gone, you can never go again. And so most girls like to splurge for that Miss America once in a lifetime dress. And I'm sure that's what I'll do too. But for my state competition wardrobe, I go with the cheaper route.
so you have to pay for everything yourself?
Yeah, the competition clothes you do pay for. And so what's also really nice though is that one of our local directors here, her name is Tiffany Kennison. She has a whole pageant closet full of dresses that she has got donated to her by past pageant girls. And so she probably has over 200 gowns in her closet that every single one of us girls who signs up can use completely for free. And then also for a lot of us girls who have been competing for quite a while now, I kind of have my own little pageant closet built up. And so always offering my outfits out to other girls and if they need it, because it's exciting to be able to have somebody to turn to, but it can be expensive. And so being able to allow girls to use your clothing is a big thing. And so a lot of us share and borrow from each other also.
And that's what I would think. It seems like a lot of it is the camaraderie you
Yeah.
develop between the contestants. I'm sure is pretty strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so each of us actually have sister title holders in the teen division. And so I, as a miss, I have a teen, and I've had a teen for the past 3 years as a miss. This year I actually have a new girl as my teen, but the years before, I had the same teen, and her name was Brooklyn. And over those years of getting to be sister title holders together, we grew so close. And I actually just went to her senior night the other night and watched her cheer at senior night. And so we're like actual sisters now, and that's how a lot of it is with the other girls too. We're all best friends. And so the Eras Tour movie just came out, and me and one of my pageant sisters, we went and watched it together. And so yeah, it's fun to make other friends who are sort of interested in community service and education, just like you are.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Mhm.
if someone wanted to sponsor a specific contestant, like for you, let's
Mhm.
say businesses want to sponsor you, they like what you stand for and everything.
Uh-huh.
Is that something that's possible?
Yes, so sponsorships are a huge part of the Miss America program. So each of us local title holders, we actually have to sell ad pages for the competition book. And so sponsors are a big part in those ad pages, talking with local businesses, talking with family and friends and other just people you meet around your community who are interested in supporting you and supporting the scholarship opportunities of the Miss America organization. That is one route, is the ad page sponsorship. However, there's a ton of other sponsors that we all need as well. And for me, particularly, I have a fitness sponsor, somebody who helps me out. It's a yoga studio here in Reno that I work with. That was my sponsor for this last year's pageant season, helps me with the fitness portion. And then I also have a hair sponsor who does my hair before the pageant, and a tanning sponsor, spray tan sponsor. So I get spray tans and all that for free. And so it is really nice because you don't need all those things to compete, but for those of us who want to use those extra outlets, it's nice to have businesses that are willing to help out. And even on the state level, going to Miss America, a lot of our girls are sponsored. Just like I was telling you, our current Miss Nevada will work with Viper Apparel in Michigan, who's our dress sponsor. And so they work directly together, and Viper Apparel in Michigan actually pays for a major part of her wardrobe of what she'll wear to compete at Miss America. And so all those sponsors are really important for the program and for each girl.
I'm sure our audience wants to know is what are your
Mhm.
beauty routines?
Oh, my beauty routines.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually don't do too much for my skin at nighttime, but I do wash it every night and every morning. And I use it's a brand that I get at Target. I think it's called La Roche. Anyways, it's like white with blue stuff
Beauty
on it.
routine, yeah.
That's what I use. Yeah, I use their skincare line. So all I do is wash and moisturize, and that's it. Um, and then on and then I always floss, of course. I can't miss flossing. I was so bad at flossing for a while. That was not a part of my habit, but I got in the habit finally. And I floss every night. And I also whiten my teeth just with like the at home tooth whiteners. I use those not every night, but like once a week usually. And then for my makeup routine, I use a lot of Rare Beauty because I really like also just what Rare Beauty stands for. And so I love Selena Gomez. I love her brand. And so that's what I use a lot of. I use a lot of Rare Beauty. And then I get my hair dyed. You can see it's growing out, but only like every 3 months. I don't keep up with the hair as much as everything else, but
What is your schedule like, and what are you doing to prepare
Mhm.
yourself for the competition?
Yeah, so once January hits, I mean, for the past 6 months since this last competition in June, for the past few months, we've been keeping up with community service events because regardless of if you win the state title or not, it's part of your role as being a local title holder is to be involved in your community. And so always keeping up with those community service events and making sure that my CSI Inform to Reform is growing and progressing every single day. And so that's why I did a lot of that work in September with Governor Joe Lombardo with Constitution Week, because my CSI development is really important. And so continuing to develop your CSI in those months directly after Miss Nevada is important. But I also believe that taking a bit of a break from the hardcore preparation right before you that you do right before going to state is important because it can be tiring sometimes. And so I've taken a break from doing all of my like talent practice and stuff, just because mental health is really important to prioritize throughout the process. But as soon as January hits, I start doing mock interviews, and I do mock interviews each week because the interview process is really important in the Miss America organization. Being able to speak well in front of a crowd, in front of a panel, is a huge aspect that determines whether or not you'll be a good Miss Nevada or good Miss America. And so that's a really big part of the score part of Miss Nevada. And so as soon as January hits, doing mock interviews weekly with a panel just to make sure I'm getting that practice in. Keeping up on current events is a really important one as well. And so I actually have a whole Google Doc of current events, hot topics that are going on in our nation, my opinions on those topics, and then facts to back up my opinions and why I believe what I believe. And so that's really important to me, is that whole current event page, knowing exactly what's going on, because again, the judges can ask you anything. So anything that's going on in the news cycle, they are free and open to ask you in that interview room or during that on-stage question process. So keeping up with the news is really important also. And then, of course, talent prep and then fitness. I'm focusing on just the Stairmaster and doing sit-ups and push-ups right now because it's an easy, fun workout for me. And so I don't grill too hard into the fitness competition aspects, just because I think anybody is totally fine to represent the title of Miss Nevada and to represent your local title. And so for me, of course, keeping myself healthy and fit is important, but it's not my top priority in prep. But that interview prep is what I really do focus on. And so once January hits, doing those weekly mock interviews, always keeping up on my community service initiatives, development, and then talent practice, getting in the dance studio multiple times a week to practice that talent and keep up on my technique is really important.
Huh. Okay, what's your diet like?
My diet?
Yeah.
Probably not the best. I eat a lot of junk food, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, same here.
But I'm a junk food lover. I love ice cream. I mean, I got like the 100-calorie ice cream bars, like the fudge bars. So I guess that's better than like regular ice cream. But really, I don't diet too much. I just eat kind of whatever I want. And then I'm in the dance studio so much, and then doing my little Stairmaster workouts, that it kind of all balances out. So yeah, I'm not the healthiest eater, but that's all right.
Were you on the dance team in high school? Is that how you got started?
I actually started dancing when I was just 4 years old. And so I grew up dancing at a dance studio. And then I was on competition team for my dance studio down in Carson City, Nevada, actually. And so I grew up doing competitive dance. And then my senior year was actually COVID year. And so our competitive dance season got cut really short. And so we all did Zoom classes for a few months to keep up with our technique. And then now I'm actually in a ballet company, but I was on the UNR cheer team for a little bit. And so I was on the POM team of the Spirit Squad, which is the dance team, basically. They just call it POM. And so I danced a bit at UNR, and now I'm a professional ballet dancer at Sierra Nevada Ballet here in Reno.
Do we know anyone on the UNR cheer team? We have a couple girls that she knows
Oh,
from
really?
on
Well, they
UNLV.
go to UNR, but I don't know if they're on the UNR
On
team.
the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
We know a couple of UNLV cheerleaders that she's cheered with.
Oh, that's so fun.
So yeah, well, I actually have a friend whose daughter dances.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she said it's pretty intense, huh? Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, is it what coming from someone that's not in that world? I mean, what?
Like all the different techniques, all the different like turns and leaps.
Yes.
Is that something you guys do? I mean, how do you guys? Is
Mhm.
it a team thing or is it individual?
Well, so it can kind of be it's up to the dancer, really. If you decide to join competition team, you are committing to a team dynamic, same as joining a cheer team and same as like joining a UNR dance team. You are on a team, and so that's a little bit more team based. But there are dancers who dance individually and just dance solo. And so it kind of depends also which competition you're going to. Some competitions don't allow only solo dancers. You have to also be in a team. And so it kind of depends on what competitions, what part of dance you're looking to joining into. Right now, doing ballet, I would say it's a lot more of a team effort because There's only a few principal dancers, and it's really hard to reach principal dancer status. One of the dancers that I dance with actually just reached principal status, and she is in her 40s, I believe. And so it takes a long time and years of training to reach that status. But for the rest of us, we are in what's called the core. And that core is the big group of dancers who kind of, we call it, it's called like the backbone of the show. And so the soloists, the story doesn't make sense without the core who has been building that story up, all dancing together. And so that's what I am right now. I'm in the core at the moment. And so all of us dancers were working together, cleaning. There's a lot of lifts that go into it. And so figuring out those lifts and then those formations. And sometimes cleaning rehearsals get tiring and stressful, and we argue a little bit here and there over what's right, what we think is wrong, what we think is right. And so it's really important to find that team dynamic in dance. And so for me, my personal experience with dance has definitely been more of a team effort. And I always grew up being on a competition team, dancing with others, doing group dances. And then at UNR, we always were on a team as well. And so I always grew up in the more team dynamic aspect of dance, but there are solo dancers as well.
So the top is called the principal.
Yeah.
That's
So
like a,
yeah.
it's
The
like
top
a
ballet dancers are called principal dancers. And then every company does it slightly different, but there's like a kind of a ladder you have to climb. And so we have our trainee program at Sierra Nevada Ballet, which is for like the dancers who are in their younger teens. And that's when they're not in the professional company yet, but they're being trained to go into that professional company. And so they watch rehearsals, they learn the dances, but they're usually not in them. They're learning it more for experience and for that training. And so we have trainees and apprentices. And then once you're in company, you're first just labeled as a company member. And then it goes up to a part of the core, and then it goes up to a featured core dancer. And that's what level I'm at right now. I'm at the featured core dancer. And so then after featured core, it goes demi soloist, and then soloist, and then principals. So it's like there's a whole ladder of trainings you have to climb. You have to get promoted by the artistic director of the company. And so you don't get to just climb it at your own speed. The director has to promote you. And so it's a very in-depth process and a long ways to get to that principal title. But
is that something you're looking to achieve?
yes, someday. It probably won't happen for another like 10 or 20 years, but yeah, in my future, I hope to be a principal dancer. Probably won't be for a while, but yes.
So when you say professional, does that mean you guys get paid for that?
We do get paid, yes. So I do get paid for all of the performances. I get paid for rehearsal time. And so that is also one aspect that's really nice about it, because growing up on a competition team, you paid to be on the team.
Right.
And so, yeah. And so it is really nice to be hired by a professional company and to get paid to be on the team. It's different, but I like it.
So as a paid professional, do you go perform places? I mean, where would someone
Do
be able
you
to see?
like travel, or do you just stay in town?
So our company is based in Reno, and especially being a core dancer, we dance primarily in the Northern Nevada area. And so we do about 5 performances a year. We actually just did our fall performance, and we did Dracula as a ballet version, which was really fun. And so we just finished Dracula up last weekend. And then obviously in the fall or in the winter time, pretty much every company does Nutcracker. So we'll do the Nutcracker coming up in December. And then our spring show is called Brew Brats and Ballet. And that performance is we have multiple choreographers come in and work with us, and so we learn about 8 different routines from different choreographers, and it's kind of just a mix of different styles of dance. And so some of them are classical ballet, some of them are more contemporary vibes, some is a little bit more jazzy. It's really up to the choreographer. So that's always a fun one because we get to work with different people outside of the company. And then we do a performance called, it was Dancing at Bartley this year, Bartley Park, but it's a part of the Art Town summer sort of tradition that happens up here in Reno. And so we perform that performance for free, actually, because it's part of arts outreach here in Reno. And so we perform that. And then we have a summer show, which is a full-length classical ballet. This past year, we did The Last Unicorn. 2 years ago, we did Swan Lake. We've done 12th Night, Midsummer's Night Dream. And so this upcoming year, we're doing Sleeping Beauty. And so we'll do multiple performances throughout the year, but they're always up in the Northern Nevada area. Mhm.
So if someone is interested, like right now she's in high school, she's on the cheer and dance team. It
Mhm.
was a cheer team before, they were separated. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
one cheer and one dance, but now they kind of combined it. So
fine.
as someone that's been on UNR, it's palm team, right? You said
Mhm. Yes.
what advice would you have for a junior or senior in high school looking to try out or become part of a college
Mm.
team?
Mhm. I would definitely say the biggest is advice is to always just go for it and perform at 110% constantly, because what those coaches are looking for is the high energy that can reach to the very back of the stadium and that every single member of the crowd can see, regardless of how far away or close up they are. And then, of course, the energy that's exciting and that riles the crowd up and gets them involved into the game. And so that's a really big thing, is being able to be super energetic, super upbeat, and always dancing with 110% energy, I would say, is definitely the biggest thing to take into any tryout or audition that you go for when you go into college, because that's a really eye-catching thing for college coaches. And when I was practicing on our cheer team, we were always told, you need to dance bigger, 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 push yourself as much as you can, big facials, lots of excitement. So it's like just as much energy as you possibly can. Leave it all out on the field. 110%, all that energy is a big.
Does UNR or have a dance? Because I know that there's cheer competitions in college, but do
Mhm.
they have
Dance
dance,
competitions.
like a dance team that goes and competes against other universities?
UNR doesn't actually, but I think UNLV does. The Rebel Girls, they do have a competitive dance team that goes and competes. At UNR, we are not a competitive team, and so we just do performances. But UNR is really big on community service also. That's one of the big aspects that we're always told. And so all of us cheerleaders are constantly doing community service events around Reno and Northern Nevada in general also. But UNR does get to travel, which is super nice. And so our teams will travel to out of the state games, and cheer at those games too, which I don't think Rebel Girls get to cheer out of UNLV. I know the cheer team at UNLV does get to travel with the football team, but the Rebel Girls don't, I think. But however, at UNR, all the teams get to travel down to other games and stuff. So.
We just found out something interesting
Mhm.
from what is Chris? He's the
Oh my God.
tumbling coach of the UNLV cheer team.
Oh
But
wow.
he says that each week, every single week,
They have all the girls have to try out
yeah,
the
so that
big field.
right, so there's like 15 spots on the field, but there's
Mhm.
30 people on the team. So every single week they have to try out, and the top 15 make it to the
Oh
field.
wow.
The other 15 just sit at home, I guess.
Oh,
Right?
that's
So
sad.
is that how it is? Is it that competitive in the college?
No, not at UNR, luckily. So if you make the team, you are allowed to cheer at games. I mean, you can get benched for certain like other reasons like grades or behavior issues, or if you're just not picking up the dance, they will sit you for a game if they don't think you're ready for it. However, usually if you make the team, you get to perform at all of the events. It is really competitive for spots, though. That's the big thing. And so for our formations, the coaches get to pick who goes in the front line, who's in the back line, and where all your spots are. And so each week it's sort of like auditioning and trying out for those front spots that you always want to get into, because obviously everyone loves to be up front and center. And so all of us we were always really competitive for those front good spots. But usually all of us were able to perform every game. Not always in the front spots, but we always got to perform.
And speaking of travel, so where I'm sure I know it's local with Miss Silver State, but
Mhm,
where have you gotten to travel as a result of either UNR or
mhm.
um, with being associated with the Miss Nevada system? Where have you gotten to travel that you really enjoyed and like to go?
Mhm. So actually, as a local title holder or as a young girl, also, my mom was a local director for the Miss Carson City program when we used to be a preliminary state. She ran that program. And so when I was younger, I was involved in the Miss America organization for quite some time, not as a competing, but just watching from the side and watching all the girls and hoping to be in their spot one day. And so when I was younger, I actually got to go to Miss America, which at that time was held in New Jersey. And that's one of the best experiences that I've ever had so far, was traveling over to watch the Miss America competition, because I got to watch all 50 girls from each state compete, and basically the nation's finest 50 women who are all incredibly smart, talented, dedicated to their communities. And it was such an inspiring week for me to watch that happen right in front of my eyes. And so that's one of my favorite places that I've ever been able to travel with the Miss America organization, is to the actual Miss America pageant. I loved it. Such a great experience. But as a title holder now, I have traveled pretty much across the whole state of Nevada promoting Inform to Reform. I actually went to Vegas this past this past May actually, and spoke to classrooms around in Vegas. And then for a while, the Miss Nevada competition was held down in Vegas. It's currently held in Lake Tahoe. And so they moved it up to Lake Tahoe, I think 2 years ago, but for a long time it was held in Vegas. So all of us girls would travel to Vegas to spend that week there. Now they all travel up to like Lake Tahoe, which is nice for me. It's only like a 45-minute drive from where I live now. So that is nice. And then I also have traveled around pretty much most of northern Nevada. I went up to Eureka, which Eureka County is the second smallest county in Nevada. There's only about 700 people there, and they have one school there for their elementary school. And because the school is so small, I was able to talk to every single class in that school and reach all of the students there because there's just not many people there. And so that was a really fun trip also, because I always thought Carson City was a pretty small town, but going to the second smallest county in Nevada really put into perspective just how big my hometown is in comparison to these other places. And I also just loved the people that were in Eureka. The environment, the setting was so pretty. The county is right up against the mountains, and so it was a gorgeous view the entire time. And that's definitely one of my favorite trips that I've taken as a title holder, is to Eureka, because I really got to see Nevada from a whole different perspective that I'd never experienced before. And I loved the whole small town aspect of it. And all the people there were super sweet and amazing, and excited to have somebody from the Miss America organization there, because they never really get to see title holders. People don't normally go out there and travel and visit them. And so they were all really excited and grateful. So it was a fun time.
And that's Eureka. Eureka is a county.
Yes, here in Nevada, Eureka County. Yep. But
Okay.
there's, yeah, Eureka is like the city also. And so it's kind of like Carson City. There's Carson County also. So yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you like to do when you're not doing dance or pageant stuff?
Yes, so I actually am a nanny outside of pageant and dance. And so I'm a dance teacher also. A lot of my life does revolve around dance. But I love being a nanny. And so the little boy, I'm really lucky that I met a super awesome family when I was first looking for a job in college. And I've still stuck being a nanny with that same family for the last 3 years now. And so we do a ton of activities. We really like to swim. I didn't really love swimming until he turned about 2 and just wanted to go to the pool nonstop. And so we go swimming a lot. I really love swimming now. I really like to read also. School is a really important thing in my life. And I actually graduated from college a year early. So I'm technically on my year off right now, my gap year. And so I've been pushing a lot of educational stuff into my gap year, though, like studying for the LSAT, and on top of that, just reading. And I'm also practicing piano right now. I'm trying to learn piano just to keep my mind busy and sharp during this gap year. And so I love anything that challenges my mind, that pushes me. So I've been doing lots of other activities that are sort of educational based since I'm on a gap year right now.
Jesus, is there anything you don't do? All right. So if you wanted, you're studying for the LSAT, what, obviously to become a lawyer, what would you want to do with that law degree? I mean, obviously there's something in political science or the
Yes.
political arena.
Yeah, so my goal is actually to study constitutional law, and then to come back here to the Reno City or Reno Carson City area, and to run for office here. I interned at the Nevada legislature this past session in this past spring, and it was such a great experience. And I chose to be an intern for them, or to apply for the internship program, because I really wanted to see if this was the path I 100% wanted to take. And doing that really did solidify that I do want to go into politics one day. And so that's my ultimate goal, is to come back to where I'm from and to run for office here and represent my hometown and the people that raised me, and to be able to advocate for Nevadans on a national level. That's my goal eventually.
When you become president,
Remember us.
I will.
You're recording this right now.
And we're gonna repost it.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, right?
That is my ultimate goal. I do want to run for president one day. We'll see if it happens. That's the end goal, is presidential race.
Good. So what are the steps? So obviously you need to be local first. What are your thoughts on running for first? Something like I'm not really into politics, but so something maybe like a district seat or something, or
Yes, I first want to run for the Nevada legislature, so either our assembly or our Senate. Probably most likely our assembly. The assembly does have more seats. So in the Senate in Nevada, we have 21 senators, but our assembly has, I think, 42. So it's about double the size of the Senate. And so wanting to run for that state government office first is really what I want to start out in. And I actually was able to intern for the majority leader in the Senate, which is Senator Canizaro. She's actually from Vegas, so you guys might have heard of her. She's the majority leader here in Nevada, and I got to intern in her office. And so it was super fun because every single Democratic senator comes down to the leadership office every single day for what they call it. It's called caucus, but it's pretty much just a meeting where they all get together and just talk about what's going on, where each of them are at, and the important issues before they go onto the floor for floor session. And so I got to see every single one of the Democratic senators every single day when I was interning there. And so that's what really made me want it, was because I was seeing all of these different legislators from all different aspects of life come together and to advocate for what they're passionate about, regardless of what side of the spectrum they're on. They are all so passionate about what they're doing and really what change they want to make. And so that's my first goal and my first step to running for those mayor positions, is running for our state government first. And then someday hoping to run for Congress in Carson City. Carson City is District 2 in the United States Congress. And so that would be my ultimate goal with congressional positions, is to run for that Carson City seat, because I'm from Carson City. And so to be able to represent that aspect would be really important to me. And then eventually, after spending a few years in Congress, running for president eventually someday. That's
there
the
you
goal.
go. That's it.
Yes.
Okay. So where do you like to go, and what's your favorite kind of food?
Well, my favorite kind of food, I love Mexican food, and I always have. We have a little Mexican restaurant in Carson City, and it's called El Charros. And actually, one of the family that owns it, one of their daughters, her name was Maricela. She was Miss Carson City when I was like 10 years old. So I know their family. It's a great little restaurant here in Carson if you guys are ever up here to try out. So Mexican food is definitely my favorite, and I love that little restaurant down in Carson.
Nice.
Mhm. Yeah.
Is there any rules with the Miss America or Miss Nevada
Mhm.
in terms of you being a brand ambassador for individual companies?
There's not. Mm-mm.
Okay.
So yeah, anybody. It's really open to pretty much anybody. And actually, because the age range does go up to 28, I mean, at 28, there are business owners who run and own businesses and operate their own personal lives and stuff like that. And so they're pretty open with allowing pretty much anybody to join.
Okay. Because we had first reached out to you and asked if we could send you some stuff
Yeah.
once we open the store, which is my fault. I got to build the store, but
That'd be
once we
awesome.
do that, could we send you some stuff? And
Yeah, I would love that. That would be amazing. I definitely would be like totally open to promoting you guys and helping out with that social media stuff that you guys were talking about. And so
yeah,
I would love that. That would be awesome.
because like you, she wants to be in all 50 states.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
In fact, do you know what 3-6 royalty is?
Is 36 the state we were?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah.
36 states.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Arizona's 48, Texas
Mhm.
is 28,
Boys 50.
Hawaii is 50,
Okay.
California's 31. And so, we just that's kind of our thing. We've been just doing the number and then
I
roll.
love that. That's so fun.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
we're
great.
trying to work here, and
Just kind of branching out.
I'll go to Hawaii next because we have family there.
Oh, that's so fun.
And Arizona's right next door, California.
Yeah, right next door.
Yeah, so we'll try and then we have some friends out in Florida that
Oh, awesome.
try and help out too. So
Well, that would be great.
yeah, each state has their own
Their own number.
their own brand. And the stage royalties kind of over it all.
Mhm.
Stage royalties, and that's the one with the crown and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. I
Okay.
love that idea. That's great. But
All
yes,
right.
I would totally be open to doing all of that with you guys. So.
Well, we really appreciate that. Thank you. And then, so if we wanted to, can someone support you in terms of, because this is not like a popularity contest where people can phone in, right? In terms of determining the winner.
Well, we actually do have a People's Choice contest. That People's Choice vote will come out. I think they usually release the People's Choice link once all the delegates have signed up. So it'll be sometime after March, probably in April, that link would come out. But yeah, I could totally send that link to you guys once we get that information. And that is that whoever wins People's Choice wins an extra $500 scholarship. And so it's exciting for whoever gets that because it's an extra 500 towards college and towards all these educational opportunities that we all want. So
how does someone, once you send out that link, how does someone vote, so to speak? Do they call
yeah,
in a number?
it's just a link that you'll click on. It'll take you to the Miss Nevada organization's website, and you just vote right there on the website.
There'll be all the contestants' names, and you just
Yeah.
vote for which one. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, please send us that link when you get it.
Okay. Yes.
Hopefully
I
by then
totally
it'll be a
will.
lot bigger. So, okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.